Welcome back to the county seat, our final segment on the topic of state parks. We've spent most of the time talking about problems, concerns, and painting a bleak picture of the current situation and some of the problems that may face in the future. But we're going to take this last segment and we're going to focus on solutions. And I'm going to toss one out there right off the bat: marketing. How many of the state parks really have a good marketing program, and are they being properly promoted?
They are marketing primarily the areas where they have the most funds. I will tell you that the area that receives the most marketing assistance is the OHV programs, because they have a direct relationship to those registrations that are paid. So we work very closely with those. But the other areas are very difficult because their budget is so tight. It's been really challenging for, and in particular for an individual park, for us to say, hey, come and look at us specifically. Those dollars just haven't existed. Individual programs, boating safety, OHV have had some success, and for instance, OHV has done a great job putting together the OHV maps that you guys have promoted on your other television show, the little CDs. That's because they've had money to do it. And so, you know, promotion and marketing are really key, but there's a cost associated with doing it. So in our case, Emory County, we've stepped up and partnered. So we've matched them, as we've talked before, dollar for dollar. We've done some $5,000, some $10,000 marketing co-op programs to promote the state parks, because they don't have significant marketing
Are there enough?
dollars.
I mean, I know you're very active, Mike. That's been obvious for years, but are other counties not taking that lead? Is this a UAC conversation that you guys ever have?
We are. We're presenting these concerns to the Utah Association of Counties and League of Cities. We've talking about marketing. I think that's a really good subject, because marketing is best served if the system is marketed. In other words, we have a diverse and a wide variety of opportunities here in Utah when it comes to recreation and the scenic opportunities, going to historical heritage sites, trails, OHV off-highway vehicle, snowmobiling, the water recreation opportunities. If we are given additional, or at least a sufficient funding, either through parks or through the tourism, that we can actually go public with this fantastic system that we have of parks. Now, there is some marketing that has occurred. I don't want to underscore that, but we already have 4.8 million visitors. I happen to speak a little French, and when I go to southern Utah, I love to go visit our state parks there, because I can practice my French there. And if you know German, if you know Japanese, if you know one of these common languages that are actually as common as English is in many of our southern national state parks and Utah state parks.
But in terms of solutions, let me tell you, there's one linkage that's never happened that just seems so obvious to me that I really struggle with, and that is the linkage between Utah Office of Tourism and our state park system. The legislature, I think, has done a really great job in putting together what's called the TPMF Fund, the Tourism Performance Marketing Fund, which I think is $6 to $7 million right now. But the way that they've structured that has put it so focused on certain types of marketing out of the state that there's never been a way for those two entities, even though we got more skier days, we have more overnight stays than all of these other places. There's not been a natural fit for these two state programs to mesh together to say, hey, not only do we have great skiing and all of these other things, but look at our state parks. It's been very challenging to link those two entities together.
Is that because there's not a big private industry sector behind it?
It's partly because of the way that the TPMF has been so kind of had to be, you know, to make people happy on the tourism side. I mean, I'm the chairman of our travel. We love the TPMF, and we leverage money there too. But once again, in terms of the resources we have, there's never been a linkage there for marketing, even though that's a $7 million fund. And so, you know, we've never fully marketed our state parks using the state of Utah as the vehicle to do that. It's been a side effort, you know, that the counties or an individual business has tried to do.
So that end of the table has been really noisy.
I was going to say,
you guys have been kind of quiet.
I think our appropriations committee's done more advertising for the state parks last year, got more public awareness.
Well, thank you, Senator.
Than anybody. So, but some of it's been negative, but I think it's been a lot positive too. That has brought a public awareness of the state parks, and you know, I think they done a tour. I forget the group that went around and done a tour in 48 hours or something.
Oh, yeah, on one of the
KSL.
channels.
I mean, that was
They
great.
didn't call us and invite us to go.
Well, and you
Me
know,
either, so.
one of the things about that is that when all this hit, you notice in the big Salt Lake paper, they started highlighting all of the parks. And I'll have to admit, I was reading through them and I thought, I didn't know there was a state park there. I didn't know that was. So it brought a greater awareness to people in Utah. But I think they're the friends of the parks. I think that's a great idea. But we even have our own local friends. But people, I don't know if the senator runs into this, but I run into this all the time in the legislature. People think about the taxes that they impose or get voted on in the urban areas. Maybe we need to do something like that in the rural areas. And sometimes they forget about funding things in rural Utah. They want to come to us. They want to have the things, the great camping areas, the great recreation, the museums, heritage, whatever, but they forget to fund us. And so I think we need to stand up and say, hey, we're here. We need some help, and whether it's from them as well as ourselves. Because when I read $800,000 goes to the This Is the Place monument, that's pretty substantial, and there are other places just as great.
Good point.
Well, yeah, it's like I said before, I mean, we've got so much money to spend. We're not picking on the parks. We're not picking on DNR. We're not picking on wildlife or anything else. I mean, it's just that Health and Human Services is crying for their portion. Education's crying for their portion. I mean, the sad part is we need to turn the economy around. We need to generate more revenue for the state, and there'd be more money for all this stuff. It's just pretty much...
Is there more opportunity in partnering to help fill the gap between other organizations?
Absolutely.
I mean, some of the federal agencies have just, they'll get volunteer groups that'll say, we'll come in and we'll maintain an area, we'll clean it, we'll patrol the trails.
Even little things. One of the other things we've done besides financial is we've come in and put together, with Green River Golf Course, because it's so key to Green River, it's the only recreation they have. So we've come in, because that's not been, frankly, their expertise, we've come in and put together the marketing plan for just as if they were a small business. My economic development department and our team that we do is come in and working with them as a consultant, putting together a new marketing plan, because government entities have a tendency to only look at the expense side. Make sure you spend every dollar, don't go over, but if you don't spend it, it'll get taken away. And that's the way that, they've looked at it. So we've tried to really come in and help them find ways to do revenue generation and those kinds of things. And frankly, they sometimes just lack that expertise. And so I think communities from all over the state can partner better with their state parks in terms of coming up with better ways to run that organization.
That's probably a very good outcome from this unfortunate situation, is that more partnerships are being looked at. Senator Hinkins' committee asked for business plans for every state park. I think he's going to hear that every state park manager has produced and is developing business plans and looking for partnership opportunities and other ways to generate revenue. And so we, as the Friends of Utah State Parks, we have a modest $15 a year membership fee. But as that grows and our membership grows, and we intend to come to the legislature, our first priority is education, but our second priority is to be able to come along like the Bureau of Reclamation does and match some dollars, bring some dollars to the table from our volunteers that says, here, we'd like to participate in this project and demonstrate that we're not just asking for the taxpayer dollars. We're willing to come and partner with the legislature to solve some of these problems.
Just for the record, you can, as an organization, have a fundraiser, raise money, and contribute it to state parks. You can do it. There's a fund for it. There's a way to actually do it. So,
and we encourage it.
And everybody at this table is absolutely encouraging it. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to just mention to everybody, as we wrap this session up, that the legislative session is coming up, and that this will be a topic, and there will be budget issues, and we encourage you as viewers to make your point and contact your legislators and make sure that if state parks is important to you, that you let them know so that they can make a decision in your best interest. Nobody at the state legislature and the Senate is out to just destroy the system. They are trying to...
Can I interrupt really?
Yes,
What
please
we
do.
want Here's the end result we haven't talked about. What do we want out of the appropriations? We want restoration of the $2.8 million as a permanent fund. That's what we're asking for.
The one-time
But, I
fund.
mean, we haven't spent enough on what we're at. I mean, we're going to talk, but that's ultimately, we're not saying give us the full 5.6 or whatever those numbers were. What we need is to have that, so we're not basically every year going back and begging on this one-time money. We need to have that restored so that we have some certainty for these parks. Green River Golf Course is an example. We've gone from a budget of about $299 to a budget of $168. It can't be done for that. It can't. It can't be done for that. Without that restoration of funding, the money doesn't exist to make it operational.
And let me add to that, because the $2.8 million is state parks money. It sounds like it's not, that it has to come from some other place, but it was taken away last year and given back as one-time money. It's really money that was allocated and has been historically allocated for state parks. State parks cannot run without a baseline budget right now. Maybe over time we can diminish this, of $6.8 million. So that has to be restored to the ongoing funding. So what I'd like the listeners to ask their legislators to do is exactly that. Restore the $2.8 million to ongoing.
That's the point. That's what we want today.
Well, we've taken our committee, we've taken our appropriations committee, and we went down to San Juan County and Grand County and Emery County and to show them what we're up against. But we've got to be able to, we've been trying to be well informed or try to educate ourselves so that we have something to go back to executive appropriations and plead our case for you. I mean, we're your
You're our
advocates.
advocate.
But you know, the thing of it is, there's other people. I mean, it's not just our appropriations committee. It's every appropriation committee in the state's struggling right now, and it's a tough situation. Everybody's got to plead their case. You take money from education and give it to parks. Some people say yes. Some people say no. We've got to hit a happy medium.
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Got to improve the economy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not a qualified panel to make the recommendations
Spend
that will
money.
fix that. So, anyway, thanks for joining us. Pay attention to the legislature. Pay a visit to your representatives, and stay engaged in everything. Thanks for watching this extended version of the county seat, and pass this along to a friend. You can actually send them a link. You can podcast this. There are all kinds of ways to watch it. Thank you. We'll see you next time on the county seat.